Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. Welcome to another episode of the Just Sing podcast. Today is going to be different. Like, I'm just sitting outside chilling right now. Like, I finished meditating. And then, I'm doing my daily grounding, barefoot in the grass. Things like that go. Just getting the energy right for the morning. And, it kind of hit me. Like, there's moments like when I'm in shit like this that like dope ass thoughts come to me, right? Like dope ass thoughts. And they be like, damn, in hindsight, I'm like, yo, that'd be a dope ass podcast episode. Or I'm like, damn, I ain't never considered, making that. And then the moments when it does happen, it's like, I'll go write it down. And then try to come back to it later or say, that could be a podcast episode in the future or whatever the case may be. And then I get, when I actually do make it in the future, it doesn't have the same feel, doesn't have the same vibe to it. You know what I mean? Not to say that the ones that I do record in the future aren't, what I wanted them to be, but it's like in the moment, it's like, yo, I should have captured that. So I decided, I'm going to start capturing those moments. Because, I can do these shits on the fly wherever I'm at. So why the fuck not? You feel what I'm saying? So this is the newest extension of the Just Sing podcast, and I'm going to call these motherfuckers the Impromptu pop-ups. You feel what I'm saying? What the fuck I'm going to talk about? I don't know all the time. There's going to be no structure. It's just whatever thought stayed in my head, post-meditation or just wherever the fuck I'm at. If, I get the time to actually sit, and if I have the time to sit in motion, like now you can hear the birds chirping and shit because I'm outside. But, what I'm about to talk about is like, it just hit me now, and I was like, I started rabbit holing. So I was like, yo, I should, capture this. So why not capture it on my podcast? But anyway, before I get started, be sure to follow me on Instagram, @_just_sing_. And be sure to check out my website at imjustsing.com to get all things that are just seen. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to hop into the first ever episode of the Impromptu Pop-Ups. And I'm not going to tell you what the topics are, but we're just going to talk about it when it comes back. All right? So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to hop back into it. Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit imjustsing.com. There, you can get all things Just Sing. You want to add the Soulfrell series to your library? Visit imjustsing.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit imjustsing.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit imjustsing.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit imjustsing.com. You ever want to just chat with Sing about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit imjustsing.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at imjustsing.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit imjustsing.com. All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the first episode of Impromptu Pop-Ups. Today, so the thoughts that came to my mind was like, the differences between choices and options, right? And I was having a conversation with somebody a while back, and we was like, we kind of came to a consensus. There was like, yo, what, the topic of whatever the case may be was like, yo, they brought to my, my attention that I have a different amount of options provided to me for the world. And it was like, I guess I ain't gonna say necessarily trying to undermine the things that I do, but they were trying to put some kind of criteria to the stuff that I've achieved, as in, I guess where I live and all of that stuff and blah, 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 but I was like, it's not that. And so in the conversation, I was like, it's not that I had options, I had choices, right? So they were like, that's the same thing. And I said, no, it's not the same thing. Options and choices are not the same shit, and I think a lot of us, collectively get caught up in the fact that they have been made synonymous, but they're not the same regardless. They're similar, but they're still not the same. An option and a choice are two different things, right? See, options Options are things that are provided to you, but choices are things that you're able to provide, for yourself. So here's what I mean by that. When I consider options, right, it's like, the example I like to use is this. When I say I'm hungry, right, this is an option. If I tell you that I'm hungry and you have McDonald's, Burger King, and Taco Bell on the table, right, and then you say eat, those are my options. Those are my options. Now, I get it. A lot of times, because we play semantics and we play with the words, it'd be like, well, didn't you choose one of those? Yeah, but the choice wasn't mine. The choice was made for me, and I was provided options to choose from. You see what I'm saying? That's making sense. I guess it is making sense. Woodpecker knocking on the wood. I fuss with you. But anyway. So when you have options allotted to you, a lot of times it can seem like you have choices. What do? But a choice is something that you create. So now let's stick with that metaphor. If, the options are, I say that I'm hungry and somebody brings me, and it really hit a lot more when I was younger. And like when I, revisit my childhood and I think about how, culturally, it's in the culture, like, when your parents cook and you're like, I don't want that. They'll look at you and say, well, you ain't hungry then. They made the choice for you. You can now at this point choose to eat the option that's presented, but they made the choice for you and shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what I really started to pay attention to it. More so because now I'm looking at it like, damn, do we really have choices in this world? Or are we just given options with the ability to choose from what's presented? And this is like I said, if you say you're hungry, you're like, okay, I want either, like, it's in front of you, Burger King, Taco Bell, McDonald's, right? So you're going to choose because I'm hungry, right? And you're going to say, all right, well, fuck it. I'll go with Burger King then because I don't really fuck with McDonald's. I don't really fuck with Taco Bell. Or I fuck with Taco Bell because at least I can get, just some beans and shit, and I don't have to worry about the other shit, But shit like that is like, that is a lot of times what we perceive as our reality. That the options presented to us are our choices. You feel what I'm saying? So on the other side of that, sticking with the food metaphor, in the fast food metaphor, a choice, to make a conscious choice, to be able to make your own choice, is to say, I'm hungry, right? Now I create my options. Do I want Burger King, McDonald's, or Taco Bell? Nah. Do I want to go to the store and cook something? Nah. Do I want to just, take some herbs and sea moss and curb my appetite for the day? Nah. That's a choice. That's a choice. A choice creates the power. A choice is the power that you have to do something. And you can dictate what your choices are. We're supposed to be able to dictate our choices. We can't dictate our options. We can't dictate our options, but we can dictate our choices. And we should dictate our choices. But one thing we have to stop doing is making our choices and our options synonymous. Because the moment we think that our options are synonymous with our choices, we're always going to choose only the options we have. And here's why I'm talking about this, because as an entrepreneur, I stopped dealing with my options and expanded to my choices, and this is not just entrepreneur-wise 100%, but it's in all aspects of my life. Like when I was young, I realized that like everything that I did was because I thought that was my choice. I thought it was my choice. Like I took on religion as my spiritual context because that was my option. It wasn't my choice. It was my option. You know what I'm saying? I went to college because that was my option. It wasn't my choice. And these things were presented to me because they were presented to me and like that. They were my choices. That is one of the greatest mind fucks ever. For us to be presented with things that really aren't ours, and then they're told they're ours. You feel what I'm saying? And here's why I say that. Because like when I was a kid, I always knew I was going to be a healer. I always knew it. I just didn't know the word for healer. I didn't know at the time when I made the declaration that that's what I wanted to be. So I said I wanted to be a doctor when I grow up, right? This is no slight or no shot to my mom because she saw what I was saying. She saw my choice, and then she presented the option that will work for that. You feel what I'm saying? But I said, but at the same time, the choice that I chose was based off of not knowing the full dynamic of what I was talking about because I was so young. Only knew a doctor. I knew that I went to a doctor one day. I was sick. I had strep throat, I think. I was like 4. I had strep throat. That shit hurt like a motherfucker too, man. Like that shit. Ooh, that shit hurt. But when I went to the doctor, they fixed me up. They healed me. I was good. I said, that's what I want to do when I grow up. I want people to come to me in pain and leave feeling good. You feel what I'm saying? But the only thing that I really knew at the time that really worked for that was a doctor. So that's what I said I wanted to be. But then when I actually got in the shit, I didn't want to be it anymore. And I was like, damn, what the fuck is wrong with me? But I never gave my gift up. I never gave up that desire to want to be a healer, to want to make people feel good, make people feel better. So my choice was to be a healer. My option, the only option I knew was to be a doctor. You feel what I mean? And so that played its role in a lot of the shit that developed in my life. You know what I'm saying? Me going to college was because I was smart. Everybody said, yo, you're so intelligent. You feel what I'm saying? You got to go to college. All right. In addition to that, you're so intelligent, do science. Because I like science. It's like, all right, cool. But that shit, and it made sense going along the line because that's shit that I fucking liked. So, but the whole time I was limiting myself because I saw only the option. I talk to my little cousins all the time, and I'm like, what do you want to do when you finish school? What do you want to do? Well, they only present the options that everybody else presents to them. Well, I'm trying to decide, do I want to go to college or do I want to go to the military? You can do whatever the fuck you want to do, right? Nah, man, I got to go to college, man, because I ain't trying to be, like, the options we're presented are also connected to things that they be like, if you don't take these options, everything else, you're not going to be able to do anything else. And as Black people, we've been given options that really limit the fuck out of us. We don't get the option for businesses. We don't take on the options for ownership. We're not encouraged to take on those options. So it's on us to create the choices within ourselves to say, fuck that, I'm going to do this shit. You feel me? I wasn't pushed to be an entrepreneur. I wasn't pushed to do the things that I've done, but I had to tap into myself and say, fuck that, I create the choice. And it helped expand a lot of the things, and it gave me the options that I wanted. I got to pick my fucking options. So now let's go back to the food metaphor. If I now say that I'm hungry, I don't worry about if somebody says, pick this. Okay, case in point. Perfect fucking example. Family functions. Whenever I go, being plant-based is different. It's different. So it's like nobody in my family fucks with it. So they'll be like, well, I got the greens, I got this, and they got turkey necks and all this other shit in there, right? So I'm like, damn, this is the option. I'll be like, nah, I'll be back. And then I'll go to the store, get my own shit, come back and eat with them. That's my choice. You're giving me an option as if it's my choice. Like, yo, this is all we got here. So this is all that, no, this is not all that I have to choose from. This is all that you provided me with and all that you presented me with. This is the option you gave me, but this isn't my choice. I get to choose this shit. You feel what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times growing up as kids, our parents, they get in this mindset of knowing best, and it's because they're the parent. They're supposed to, they feel that they're supposed to guide us in that way. They feel that they're supposed to do certain things, but, the only thing a parent is supposed to do is to bring out the absolute potential of a child. And they think in dictating our options, that it can happen that way. It's like, hey, like I said, when I told my mom I wanted to be a doctor, she pushed that shit. She made sure that I was always on point, always doing this. And it worked naturally for me without seeing it as an option because it's really what I wanted to do. Couple that with me, like in science, being intelligent and fucking just geeking off of nature and shit and natural scientific phenomena. It just made sense for me. You know what I mean? It was a no fucking brainer in the grand scheme of it all because it was like, bruh, this is what I like to do. You feel what I'm saying? So that really set the tone for a lot of the shit that I do. Come on, bro. You gonna cut the grass right now, my guy? All right, hold on. I'm a quick. All right, my bad. I'm back. But yeah, so where was that? So yeah, that really kind of set the tone for a lot of the shit that I do in life because it's like when it's all said and done, I knew that I was gonna be a healer. I knew that I was gonna be, a thinker. I knew these things about myself, but the options that people gave me, it's like they kind of dictated it. The higher up I went in school, the more I talked to teachers. You should do this. You should do that. You should do that. So it starts to, silence what the fuck I should really be doing, what I feel I should be doing for myself. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like it got to a point I was like, yo, what are my choices in life? What did I choose to do? What did I choose to do? And I think a lot of times when our options are continually presented for us, a lot of our choices are rooted in rebellion. A lot of the things that we actually choose to do, a lot of them are destructive. A lot of them are dark because it's like, yo, I got to choose this shit. I got to do something that I didn't, you know what I mean? Because everybody supposedly knows best for us. Everybody knows what we're supposed to be doing. I was in entrepreneurship, a little MLM type thing. And one of the people knew I was a forensic biologist. He was like, yo, you should go to this school and get your degree in this. And I said, no, I'm done with school. I'm not going back. Like, that's it. I'm not going back. He was like, so then I seen him the next week. He was like, hey, did you apply? No, I didn't, motherfucker. Like, motherfucker got a little upset because he was like, well, because I didn't take his option. Motherfuckers be getting mad when you don't take their options. Fuck your option. You do it. Like, you do it. Well, no, that's not my path. All right, well, shut the fuck up. That ain't got shit to do with me. You feel me? You want me to do something for you. And a lot of times I notice that when it comes to the options we take on from other people, it's not always, but a lot of times we're doing something that they would want to do that they can't. You feel me? But they see a mind, or they see the potential in someone who can do it, and they say, hey, you will be really dope at what I want to do, but I can't. I'm not saying he wanted to be forensics or whatever the case may be. I don't know. But it's like when you see something like that, and then it's one of those things where like, well, Dag, I thought about you with this in this regard, and I think you should go for it. And you know how many things in life I've done? You feel me? I've done in life just because a motherfucker encouraged me to do it, simply because of, what they thought about me or what they knew about me. And then they created the option for me. I didn't make that shit. And then I get in the motherfucker and I don't like it. I don't like where I'm at. But now I got to stick through it. I got to try to get through it. And I got to, man, I don't really want to do this shit. Now it's work for me because I didn't make the choice. It's fucking work. I'm working now. Like and that gets boring. It gets redundant. So like I was saying, it gets to the point where then I started rebelling. Like you start in the rebellious phase because you're trying to find your own choices. You do a lot of dumb shit. We do a lot of dumb shit. A lot of the dumbest shit that we've done was our choice. But it was our choice, and I think solely because it deviated from the options that were allotted to us. You know what I mean? Do I take away the fact that I went to college? Hell no, I love that shit. I probably still would have went either way. You feel what I'm saying? Like my choice, I chose to go to the school I wanted to. That was one thing that I can say, more or less that I've done a lot of life. Like even with the options, I kind of made the choice of the option as best as possible. Like when it was time to go to college, my mom was big on, if you go, they have scholarships for minorities. They have scholarships for, underrepresented. I said, I'm not going to an all white school. I'm not. I knew I wasn't. I didn't apply. When I went to college, I only applied to one school. My mom said, you should apply to more of this. And I said, no, I'm going to Fayetteville State. Shout out to my Broncos out there. You feel me? Attitude check, Bronco pride. We hold it down. You feel me? But I knew from the jump. I didn't check and it's crazy because it was more divine than anything because I didn't check their programs. I was the first one going to college. You know what I mean? None of my homies were eligible to go because they was, they had already been locked up. There was felons. They couldn't go. You feel me? And then some of them didn't even graduate from high school, so they weren't going to go. So it wasn't like I was predicated upon, me and my homies, we gonna link, we gonna be together. Nah, none of that shit. It was like, I didn't look at the major, but somehow I knew they had a forensic science major. I knew I wanted to major in forensic biology. And I was just like, I'm going to Fayetteville State, bro. I was like, you're not looking? No, I'm not applying anywhere else. I'm going to go ahead and take this SAT, go ahead and apply for, that's it. There was nothing else for me to do. There was nothing else for me to think about. That was my choice. I said, I'm going to Fayetteville State. I went to Fayetteville State and graduated. And I was like, I said, there's no other school for me to go to, And the choice was mine. Like as I found out when I got there, oh shit, y'all do got a forensic. I was like, but then when I was like, I never once even researched to see if y'all had a forensic science program. I said, this is just where I'm going. You feel what I'm saying? But when it comes to our choices and shit, the point that I'm making is that when it comes to our choices, it's like we just kind of do it. And a lot of our choices are out of rebellion. You feel what I'm saying? For the grand scheme of it, like college was a good thing. It was a good experience, whatever the case may be. But, more times than none, the choices that we make are like, destructive. Not only I ain't gonna say destructive. I'm gonna say they're childish. Childish in the sense that we do it solely because it's like somebody told me. I'm doing this because somebody told me not to. I'm doing this because somebody told me that I shouldn't. Or I'm doing this because you told me what to do and I'm gonna show you that I want to do something else. But the only thing that I know is gonna be deviated from this particular point, right? You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, damn, when you really sit and look at it, like, are we living our options? Are we living our own choices? And I only ask that because it's like, a lot of us get miserable as fuck in the positions that we're in. I used to. That's why I left corporate America. That's why I left academia. That's why I left religion. Because it's like, I didn't choose this shit. I just picked up the option that was in front of me. You feel what I'm saying? I just picked up the option that was in front of me. When I look at like religion, I was like, I didn't have a choice for this shit. I didn't have an option. I didn't have the choice. You feel me? And the religion that I was in, Christianity, was the only option I had. Everybody like, this is all they know. So I don't get to choose. I didn't get a chance to choose Islam. You feel me? I didn't get a chance to choose Buddhism. I didn't get a chance to choose African spirituality. I didn't get a chance to choose any of these things because the options weren't there. You feel me? For the option to be there, somebody has to know something about it. So, I took that initiative upon myself as I got older to say, you know what? I got to make the choices for what I want in life, and, ultimately it led to this. So now it goes back to the conversation I was saying with the person. And they were like, they were telling me about the choices that I have, and what they were more talking about the options that I have in life. And I was like, no, I give myself choices. I choose what the fuck I want to do. And I choose how I'm going to do it, to the extent I'm going to do it when I want to do it. You feel what I'm saying? And I realized that options are an illusory. Having options in life that you didn't get to mandate or dictate is an illusion of power. You know what I'm saying? If I tell you that you made the choice off of what I have, that's not right. That's not right. But you think it is. You think it is. Like, I used to play Pokemon when I was young. Had my Game Boy and shit. And they gave you 3 options when you start. You feel me? You either get a Charmander, a Bulbasaur, or a Squirtle to start your journey off. That's not a fucking choice. I choose the option. I pick the option, but that's not a choice. What if I wanted to start with a fucking Pikachu? Well, they gave that in the newer version, but you know what I mean? The point that I was making, like, do we really have choices? Because like, and then I started to see, damn, life is like that. Life is really like that. You know what I mean? Like, people give us options every single day, and then now it fucks with us because we don't have the choice, and the choice is not dictated within ourselves. So now let's look at school. We go into school and we're given the option to learn only one way. Now, if you study a little bit of psychology, you will see that we have seven learning, quote unquote, we have 7 learning languages. There's 7 planes of learning. It's, what is it called? The mind skill. It's music, interpersonal, spatial, kinesthetic, interpersonal, logistic, and language. Like, there's 7 different ways to learn. We only learn one way. We didn't even have a choice as to how we were supposed to learn. And so that knocks a lot of us off in schools and shit, because it's like, yo, you're not even learning. You're not teaching me from my learning language. There shouldn't be one school system. There shouldn't be one way to go to school and learn. And then not only that, that's why I be telling motherfuckers, I'm like, yo, you're not like, motherfuckers be bragging about being educated, well educated. No, you're well trained. You're well trained. Like, people, and then that was the hardest part about understanding this. Like, a lot of people would say, like I tell people now, I'm far more intelligent than I was when I was in school. And I've significantly enhanced my mind far more than I could have in any education system. And it was like, well, that's because you're not, like, no, it's not natural. Like, that shit hindered me. That option for going to school and education, going through this templated education system, a cookie cutter education system, wasn't education at all. It was training. You were training me to do something. You feel what I'm saying? I've learned that my mind is too vast for one major in college. Like, people, well, you should double major then. Fuck no. What the fuck am I going to like? That's, now you're just giving me an extra option with extra work. No, that's not what I mean. But it's like, when you go through school, like, I have the luxury and the gift I have the gift of thought, so I'm able to learn through all 7 experiences. I do music. My interpersonal is, my ability to learn through self. You feel what I'm saying? Being self-taught, like meditations and things like that. Kinesthetic is through movement. I can, you know what I'm saying? I do this shit too. Language, logistics, like all of these different expressions work for me. You feel me? And they work for a lot of us. But a lot of us, let's say, and the sad part about it is this, that out of the 7 learning languages, or 7 ways to learn, 7 planes to learn, we only learn through 2 when we're in school, and that's through language and logistics. That's it. We take 2 L's. That's crazy as a metaphor. That's a bar. We take 2 L's. We take 2 L's when we're being educated. You feel me? Like, we learn through logistics and language. Which basically, logistics is going to be your science and your math. Your language is going to be, of course, learning the language that you're in. You know what I mean? Learning the syntax of it, grammar, English, and things of that nature. But, they give us, and if you pay attention, they give us all 7 in a sense. But each of the 7 is only filtered. And as we go up higher, we start to get options and we start to pull away from it. So it's like kinesthetic, that's your gym class and things of that nature. Like, they even stopped making gym mandatory. They had a template for all of the things that were at one point, like you have a music class, but then they started to give us options, and we said, I don't want to do music. I don't want to learn music, because the other 5 things, they made them positions that were work as opposed to learning, as opposed to things. So now when you get the athlete, that's the kinesthetic learner. Oh shit, I love gym. I love PE. I love this class. You feel what I'm saying? I love when I'm in here. But it's an elective. Our mandatory classes are logistics and language, but our electives, our free electives, are the other 5. You feel me? Music is an elective. Gym is an elective. Fucking home ec, sewing, like these things are electives. It's crazy how the mandatory shit that we really need to survive in life are electives, but the shit that really just that's subjective to change, that really makes us the cookie cutter people, is mandatory. Those are our core curriculums. Like, that shit's stupid. But at the same time, it's the option that we're given. We're given the option. And we're not given the choice, because we don't make the choice. If we were making the choice, we would be able to say as a kid, hey, yo, I know so many artists who never took art class in school. And I was like, why? They was like, because, man, it was just a class. Like, when I took art in class in school, like, they're like, are you coming back for art too? And like, no, fuck that. I got, because I don't like the teaching structure. You can't teach art. Now, this is not to say that you can't teach the fundamentals of how to structure it, but it's like, that creates the cookie cutter modality. Okay, yeah, study this person, learn this person, and, you learn the greats, supposedly, and then you infuse them within your shit. No, I am great. I just need to bring my own infusion out. You feel what I'm saying? I see so many artists that pattern their works off of other people, but that's a part of what we're taught. There's, in addition to giving the options, it's like you pattern off of these options. See, if I create the choice, I can dictate whatever the fuck I want. I can dictate whatever the fuck I want. I can infuse a Picasso with a fucking Basquiat, you know what I'm saying, type shit. But when it gets to where I'm no longer knowing what I have to do, then it's like, now I become templated. And I say that on the strength of this. I'll use it from the science perspective and the schooling perspective. Like when I was in school, it was all like, and it's always do research, push what another motherfucker did forward. Fuck them. I don't want to research their shit, their project, do their work for them, do more work for them, be another brain for their work. I got to do my own shit and be my own being. You know what I mean? But that's the option. That's the option. So it's like, now that I look at it, and talking to more people, and it's like I've gotten to a whole different comfort level. Like when I talk to people about religion, everybody asks me the same question. What if you're wrong? What if you're wrong? And I always ask them, what if I'm right? They don't have anything outside of that because they were given the option. With me given the choice, I was able to explore my religion that I was in first freely. And then now I'm able to explore the spirituality and make the choice and say, hey, I can do this shit. Whatever the case may be. I had another person ask me, well, where do you get your morality from? The fuck? I don't need a book or a structured thing to tell me to be moral, to tell me that killing is wrong, to tell me that this is wrong. But I get how they get to that point. As a molded, as raw clay. That's what children are. They're raw clay. That's what like I was baptized when I was 6. I was quote unquote filled with the Holy Ghost when I was 7. I didn't know shit about what I was going through. I just did it because it was like, this is what's going to protect your soul. This is what's going to save you. This is what's going to get you into heaven. When I talk to my little cousins now, they're like, yo, I got to get in. You're not getting into heaven, bro. Nobody's going to heaven. Heaven's full. Now, had you have seen that you can make the choice for your religion, you would see that. But you had the option. And now in that option, it gives you a whole bunch of things that keep you in the option. That make you choose the option. You feel what I'm saying? Oh, I'm going to go to heaven, the land of milk and honey, or whatever the case may be. But heaven only has a population for 144,000. And those 144,000 are reserved for the 12 tribes of Israel. You have to be within the 12 tribes of Israel to get there. Now, I'm no mathematician. I'm fairly good with numbers, but I'm no mathematician. But I do know that more than 144,000 people die in a year. I know that more than 144,000 people have died since the inception of the earth. And there's only room for 12,000 per tribe. And you have to be the best of the best, which means what? You can't live. You can't experience life to make it to heaven in the logical perspective of it all. So is that really a choice for me? No, that is an option. And then the option is that when you get to heaven, of the 144,000, the 12,000 from each tribe, when you're there, you're worshiping all day long. Sounds good. But then when you start to put it into perspective, like this deity needs you to do that. Like it's in the word. Like you're going to go to heaven just to worship all day long. What kind of ego do you have where you need people to worship 24/7? That sounds like an insecurity. That really sounds like an insecurity to know that I have to bring all of my children back home to constantly acknowledge that I'm a good parent. Yeah, it's crazy when you put it in that perspective, right? But that's the option that we have. That's the option that we're given. So it's like the gamble is there. Like, you're not going to heaven. I know it sounds dark. I know it sounds very, very dark. I'm not implying by default that you're going to go to hell. You're definitely not good. Heaven's full, bro. Heaven's full. Like, even with the metaphor that they use when you see it on TV, when you see Peter at the gates and shit, and is your name, like, your name has to be on the fucking list. Why? Because it's a population. Nobody dies when they go to heaven. It's not like those 144,000, some of them disappeared and it's new room for another person. No, that shit's full. So what you gonna do about that? But that's not here nor there. I'm talking about options and choices and shit, And then, so now when you consider heaven, now you have to figure out, now you look at which option is going to be best for me. Okay, cool. Do I want to go to heaven as a Christian? Do I want to go as a Muslim? Because the other religions there's really technically no heaven because they believe, religions and true spiritual systems acknowledge reincarnation. Your soul cycles back. Now, there is a space where, after you die, your soul has to, go through its temperaments and everything like that to connect itself. But then it comes back. It's almost like a quarantine or a cleansing that you have to go through after your soul is like, before I can get back in. You know, I'm coming back. You're coming back to do it again. But, you know, when you come back to do it again, your soul has to go through like a time frame in which all of the shit that happened within this individual life has to be shaken off of you. You know what I mean? Yeah, you keep the memories within your soul. It's imprinted to your soul, but it's almost like, yo, I got to get this dirt off me. Like, this life was crazy as fuck. But then I got to go back in after a certain time. So, you know, that's why I tell people, like, when it comes to like reincarnation, I don't believe reincarnation from the perspective of I'm gonna come back as a cow or a fly or the karma is gonna bring me. I believe in reincarnation in the sense that, yeah, after I do this particular mission, I'm gonna take a break, and then I'm gonna come back in another lineage to pick up and do it again, but do it differently. So that's why I tell people, when you live your life, leave yourself nuggets so you don't start over. You know what I mean? And that's why I do, like, and whether it's real or not, if you live like that, you know, like, yo, I'm going to come back in this motherfucker. If I was to come back in this motherfucker, how will I remember myself? As myself. You feel what I'm saying? There's no greater way to do that. I should know, like, the metaphor, I think it was Men in Black 3, when Agent K got his memory wiped. Before he wiped his memory, he made sure he left himself little nuggets on what to do to get him back to that point. You feel what I'm saying? And so I kind of implemented that in many ways. You know, I'm like, yo, if my soul has to come back, how can I remember me? So I wrote So For Real. I do my YouTube. I did my YouTube videos. I retired those. I do my podcast and different things like that. I interact with other human beings and plant my seeds that, you know, it's like, yo, if my shit resonates with you, somewhere down the line, you're going to be responsible for getting it back to me, whether that be through a child or whatever the case may be. You feel what I'm saying? I look at shit like that from that perspective because that's my choice to do so now. You feel what I'm saying? I understand nutrition being a certain way and how to keep your body. So I wrote Hitting It Raw. I'm like, all right, if I got to come back in this motherfucker and I need to know how my stomach has to be fed and I need to know how to get the shit, I have the information here for myself. And it's better for me to understand myself. I wrote a lot of it from my own mental space, but it's more so from my spiritual connection too. Okay, this is how I need to receive this information. You feel what I'm saying? But, excuse me, I make the choice for that. You know, I make the choice for that. And that's how, I don't know, that's just how life is predicated. You know, we got to really take a time to sit and look at these things. You know what I mean? Like, how many choices did we really make in this life? No. I'm not going to say make, because we do make a lot of choices based off the options presented to us. But how many choices did we create for ourselves? All right. Look. The markets are not a difficult place to understand. All right. You just have to know what you're looking at. And there's 5 things that you need to see before you can make any market entry. First, you need a pocket so you can know which direction the market is going in. Second, you need a pullback so you can get the better price. Third, you need a battlefield so you can see when that market movement is slowing down. Fourth, you need the upper hand so you can see when the market reactivates. And last, you need a final push so you can see the exact moment when it's time to go with the direction you are already moving in. Okay? Of course, there's so much more that has to go into that, and it's not as cut and dry as that. But those are things that I teach in my Mastering the Market course. So if you would like to learn more, please visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today. Although it is directed and specialized for Forex, all of the skills, I crafted them to be transferable to any market that you're looking at. So again, visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today if you are truly looking to master the market. Oh yeah, and don't forget, while I still got you, you can use promo code QUARANTINE to save over 90% off of the enrollment of the full price of the course. That is QUARANTINE, QUARANTEEN. Like, really sitting, like, choosing the option presented to you is not the same as making the choice yourself. You dig what I'm saying? As someone who also day trades, right? I have to make the choice on which pair I'm going to go with, you know? And I get it. When you look at, you know, a lot of quote unquote trading people, They have whole cliques and shit of, yeah, bring this person in, pay this monthly amount. I ain't fucking with that shit. I said, hell no, I'm not doing that shit. I'm gonna learn how to do this shit myself, because those people tell you what's good to trade, what's not good to trade. Like, okay, cool. So tell me why it's not good to trade. Hey, this is just what we trade in today. This is because it's gonna make you money. Now, if it's profitable and it's working, you ain't gonna bitch about the shit. You're not even gonna think to go on to that. See, on my other side of that, I was like, yo, I can make this much. What about if another trade is ready? What about other things? So when I started to expand and learn how to really do the shit, I was like, fuck paying your monthly membership. Fuck paying all of that shit. I'm just going to know how to do the shit. Because now I have the choice as to what I want to do. Okay, cool. I can make 30 pips today. You tell me I can make 30 pips off this particular pick, off this particular choice, right? But I seen the analysis say that if I took this other pair, I can make 50. Fuck that 30, bro. I can do this and I can make the choice. I create the choice for myself. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, we've been given so many options in life that we think that we're making the choice because we're choosing the options. You know, that's what this world is about. I think that's how the systemized thing works. It doesn't want anybody to be able to make their own choices. It wants everybody to pick the options that they've given them. And then they give you so many options, you actually think you're making a choice. Taking it back to food. You drive down the main strip, you can see Wendy's, you can see Hardee's, you can see fucking Taco Bell, Subway, fucking Burger King, Chick-fil-A. You see all of these options. No choices. No choices. You know, me and my homies, we used to go on road trips. And then when we take a road trip, we were like, yo, what y'all trying to eat? It's time to pull over and get something to eat. I'm like, yo, pull over where we at. You know, I'm like, look, make sure wherever we go, we can find like a fruit stand or somewhere like that. Let's pull over to a grocery store and so I can get some fruit, some nuts and grains or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It'll be simple shit like that. But it's like, that was my choice to make, you know? But then sometimes, don't get me wrong, sometimes I fucked with the options. I'm like, look, we're going to pull up. Like, this shit had me dying. I forgot I think we was in Georgia. And so we went to Burger King and we just pulled up and I was like, damn, all right, fuck it. I said, look, this is what I want. Right. So they were like, yo, we got 2 separate orders. So they ordered their food first. Right. So they was like, yeah. So I was like, all right, here's what I need. Get me a Whopper with no meat and no cheese. And they were like, I said, no meat, no cheese, and no mayonnaise. And they was like, it's stupid as fuck, because it's like, now when you're used to only having options and you're being the person who serves options, when a choice comes in, it fucks with your whole mind. You know what I mean? And this is how it fucked with their mind, because the person that was ringing up the order was like, hold on. And they called the manager's like, how do I do that? And the manager's like, just take the meat off and say no meat, no cheese, and no mayonnaise. You know what I mean? But it's like, I used to work fast food. It's systemized. It's just a button. Yo, let me get a number 3 with this, then a third. You press the number 3 button. You either upsize it or whatever the case may be. But it's like, when you get so used to honoring an option, when a choice comes in, it fucks with you. Because you got to think now. You feel what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? When we pulled up to the Burger King, my homeboy was like, he said, look, don't mind that order. Just fulfill it. He's a rabbit. I was like, man, fuck you. I ain't a fucking rabbit. But anyway, the point of that was that in that option, I made my choice at that point. You know what I mean? Now my other choice could have been like, nah, fuck that. Just go somewhere else. But I'm like, we're all here. You know what I mean? So just, this is what you have to do for the option that I have. Take this off, take that off, and take that off and give me that. You know what I mean? And they were like, what kind of person eats? A person who doesn't eat meat, dumbass. If I'm taking the meat and the cheese off, that means I don't eat it. What the fuck? Never mind. Because sometimes common sense pisses me off. Like, lack of common sense really pisses me off sometimes. Like when I say it pisses me off, it pisses me off. It's like, why are you asking questions about shit that has nothing to do with you? You feel what I'm saying? Like, why would you want to do that? Because I have a choice. And I've learned that. I've learned a lot of times when people ask that question, like, you tell somebody you're going to do something and they be like, why you want to do that? They can't. I've learned that a lot of people that ask that question can't fathom anything other than options that they know. You know, I used to always explain myself. Like, you know, when people say, why do you do this? I ask them, I'm like, why not? Now that's really what I ask. I'm like, yo, why not? They have no answer. I'm like, that means you didn't even think about the alternate. Because you don't think about the alternate because all you worry about is the option. The option. You feel what I'm saying? We look at, you know, the kids we get excited for. I love to see you apply for college and get into all of the top schools that you wanted to go to. That's the power. That's the choice. I made the choice. You feel what I'm saying? I made the choice. But then again, it's like, I made the choice from available options. Because my thing is this. This hit me when I was 17. This Navy recruiter, he tried to recruit me. Because I was debating it. I came from the hood, man. I ain't had like I said, my options were college and military from the jump. Because that's what everybody told me. I'm like, well, okay, it is what it is. So I'm like, when I'm talking to this Navy dude, he's trying to recruit me or whatever the case may be. He's trying to run the game that they all run on everybody else. He was like, yo, you can get this $20K signing bonus. $20K sound good. When you're 17 years old, you come from the hood, you ain't never seen 20,000 in your life. You don't really, even in a year's time, I'm working fast food. So I think the most I ever made fast food wise part-time was like 13,000. You said, I'm getting 20,000 in a check, my nigga? Like a check? Like, I made 13,000 a year working part-time as a 17-year-old, 16, 17-year-old kid. You gonna give me 20 racks right now? Shit, sign me up. But then, you know, you have those thinkers who know choices. You feel what I'm saying? I was like, 20,000. My thing was this, I needed this to be my choice. So if this is the option, we're gonna make this option fit my choice. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, so can I go? I said, cool, I fucks with it. I said, but can I go to college? He was like, yeah. And this was the semantics he played. He was like, yeah, you can get your degree from the college you want to go to. I said, no, can I go to the college? Well, you'll get the degree from the school. However, you'll be on a boat. I don't want to be on a boat around no seamen. Pun intended. The fuck? I said, I'm going to college to be a hoe, bro. Like, I'm trying to have fun, my guy. I'm not trying to be out this motherfucker with men all the fucking time. Well, no, you guys in the barracks, in the brigs, whatever the fuck you call the shit, you keep the men and women separate. I need to go to college where it's co-ed, my guy. Like, the fuck? I need to be late night in somebody's room. Or somebody in my room, the fuck? I don't need none of that crazy shit. You dig what I'm saying? So he's like, all right, look, just take the pre-ASVAB. It was like a mock ASVAB test or whatever the case may be. He was like, yo, just take this and we'll see where we're going. Because, you know, we need to see if when I took that test, it was the practice test. I pretty much got a perfect score on it. He was like, wow, you know you can get any job in the Navy you want. I'm glad you told me that because that means that my mind could take me wherever the fuck I wanted to go. So I said, now, we got to negotiate, bro. I said, you want me in the Navy, right? I said, you got to up that 20,000. He said, we can't up the 20,000 signing bonus. I said, why not? He said, because it's set. Why is it set? It's set for motherfuckers who ain't going to challenge it. You're basically telling me I'm worth more than the standard. Because the average motherfucker who doesn't even perform as well as I do on the pre-ASVAB, you know what I mean? Because he was like, on the ASVAB test, you're going to do about 10 points higher. I said, if I already maxed out the pre-ASVAB test, like I think he said I was off like 10 points just from the practice test. If I was off, that's what it was. I was off like 10 points from the practice test. He said, typically when people take the real test, they do about 10 to 15 points higher. I said, there's only 10 points left. I said, I maxed this bitch out. But you want me to take the same 20,000 that you're going to give to the motherfucker who's going to struggle with it. The motherfucker that you're going to make a chef. I'm the motherfucker that you're going to have as corporal, captain, and all of that shit when the time really sets it. And you want me to go to take this 20,000. I said, that's not a good investment for me. I said, I tell you what, let's up it to 50. A 50, you give me, I said, if you can finagle and you can work, he said, I can't change that. I know you can't. Why would I choose it? You feel me? You gave me an option that I can't control. You gave me an option that I can't change. I don't want that option. Because that's not an option for me. You feel what I'm saying? That's a shackle. You dig what I mean? And so he was, all right. He said, and then it was a white guy, right? So then he tried to be funny. So he bring in his commander or whatnot. He's black. I said, nigga, I'm gonna talk to you the same way. The fuck? Like, my thing was, my mom has always given me the confidence and the power to talk as a man. You feel what I'm saying? To talk to adults as adults, to talk like I've always been respectful. You feel me? But I speak to you as the adult that I am too. So when he seen me, it was awesome. No, you're a fucking, I'm a man just like you. We're going to talk like men. The fuck kind of shit is that? So he brings in his superior. He's black or whatnot. He's like, yeah, you can say. I said, look, can you get me to 50,000? I said, look, you bringing in another face like I'm not going to ask the same question. Give me the 50,000. Give me, I said, and that was I knew they weren't going to do it. But I was talking shit to let them know where I stood in life. I said, look, you give me the 50,000 and you let me go physically to Fayetteville State and I'll sign up. He's like, you got to go on I'm not going on no boat with no men, bro. I'm not doing it. You got me fucked up. I'm not doing it. You feel me? So then, the like I said, his commander or whatever the case may be, his superior, he came and talked to me, black dude, told me, yeah, the Navy, you can travel, you can do this. I can do all of that shit without the Navy, motherfucker. You're telling me, you're trying to entice me with shit that I can do myself. But you can do it on the Navy's dime, but I go where the Navy tells me to go. On my own dime, I can go wherever the fuck I want to go and can't nobody stop me. Can't nobody tell me that I can't do this or I can't do that. I said, look, I'm going to tell him like I told you. I'm going to tell you like I told him. You give me the 50,000, you up the 20,000 to 50,000, and you allow me to physically go to Fayetteville State and you pay for it, and I'll go. I'll sign in. I'll join the Navy. I give you your little 4 years. What you looking for? I'll give you that. But you got to give me what I want. You know, oh, we can't do that. I know there's nothing to talk about. So I go to school. Another one of the kids that he recruited was in my English class. He was like, yo, I heard you talk to such and such. All right, now he's trying to get my peers. I said, look, the adults couldn't get me. I said, your superior couldn't get me. So now you try to use the next best thing, my peer. So he was like, yeah, man, we could travel. We can do this. I said, bro, me and you are in the same class right now. You're telling me about potential. You haven't even joined the Navy yet. He said, yeah, when I get out, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. They're giving me 20,000. I said, look, I'm trying to get 50. I said, look, I'm going to tell you like I told them. You tell him, right? You give me 50,000 as my signing bonus. You give me 50,000 as my signing bonus. You allow me to go to the college that I want to go to physically, and you pay for it, and I'll sign. I'll join. He was like, wait, you asked for 50? You didn't? Nah, the 20. Yeah, you see how it works? I said, they get motherfuckers like that. I said, $50,000 ain't shit. Yeah, I'm asking for it, but I know 50,000 ain't shit. 20 ain't shit. You feel me? In the grand scheme of it all. But I said, I got to learn how to maneuver my choices. And I said, I got to learn how, even if I get an option, I have to put my choice in that option. I have to make that option mine. So it's like, that kind of just, it opened up my life a lot more. Like, so now when I look at like people, the things that I do now, they're like, yo, you do this, you do that. And I said, these are all choices. Literally all the things that I'm doing now as an entrepreneur, all the things that I'm doing now just as a human being are my choices. Nobody can tell me shit anymore. Nobody should have been able to tell us shit anyway. Like, now, this not to say don't be knowledgeable, don't learn, don't sit at the feet of people. But at the same time, nobody should predicate your options, because your life is here for you to live, to live. So you have to create the choices that make your life better. You have to create the choices that will give you the options for a better life, for you to choose. So it's like, when I look at these, you know, the way the options, I go for it. You know, of all of the things that I do, I would say my merchandise isn't black owned. It's not 100% black owned, but I tell people all the time, like, yo, is it black owned? Nah. So, I mean, you ain't got to support it because it's not black owned, but, you know, but it's black created and it's Caucasian leveraged. If that's what if that's how you want to look at it, that's how I look at it. I don't feel any gripe from that. I don't have inventory for my merch because I don't want to. I don't want to have to worry about shipping this shit off. I don't want to have to worry about printing this shit off. I don't want to have to worry about holding all of this shit because I ordered it in bulk and nobody's buying it. If ain't nobody buying it, that shit ain't printed right now. If the ad hasn't reached you or whatever the case may be, and you haven't bought any of the merch or whatever the case may be, it's not reaching. I'm not tripping. Because the shit was all free to set up. It was all like, that was my choice to do that shit. Now I'm leveraging that shit. You feel me? I'm leveraging that shit. And I get 40% of the profits. That works for me. Because it's all 100% for me. I create the images. You feel what I'm saying? I do the whole creation part. So it's 100% profit because it's all intellectual property. Now, they do the shipping. They handle the customer service. They handle the lost packages. They handle all that shit. Not me. Not me. So I had to leverage that. You feel what I'm saying? I had to leverage that. Now, when it comes to now, that was my choice to use that option my way. You feel what I'm saying? My way. My books. I don't keep anything on inventory. Like I had somebody who asked me, they was like, "Yo, I just ordered a book from you. Can you sign it?" It doesn't come directly from me. It comes from my publisher. I have a print on demand thing. I'm not keeping inventory, people. I don't. No, because then I have to worry about, I got all of these books here. Now that's too stressful. That's too stressful. But my choice is, okay, cool. This is the deal for a 50-50 split. For a 50-50 split, you'll distribute it to whatever store that I wanted to go to, whatever online purchasers who's going to buy it. You print them off. You do everything that I need you to do. All I have to do is edit my cover. I do that myself, cut that middleman out. All I have to do is format and do my editing and get all of that stuff done on me. And that's worth it to me. That's worth it to me. Because now I don't have to, when I get the order, bing, the emails hit, bam, let me go take this book. Let me go do this. No, fuck that. That shit's too much. I had to give myself the choice to do that shit. You feel me? I want choices in life. I make my choices. You dig what I'm saying? I make my choices. So that way I can have better options. I can control the option. When the option is presented for me and I can't do shit with it, like it's like, you ever was about to pick an option, you ask them, can I do this? And they say no. How do you feel? Can I infuse this option with my choice? Nope. That's why I left the MLM that I was in. Well, it's not an MLM. They said it was vertical level marketing. It was different from multi-level. Okay, nigga, it's all the same shit. You got to recruit motherfuckers in order to get money. And the more people, you just have to create a leg and let the people under you do the work. I said, fuck that. So they had a systemized thing. I don't fit in templates. I'm a freestyler. I'm a improvisational person. I adjust accordingly to the winds. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm asking them, like, yo, how do I do this? Like, can I change? No. We have a template. Well, bitch, the template don't work. It's trash, bro. Let me. No, this works. This works. You got to do this. I said, I can't change this option. I can't. No, you can't. That's not an option for me then. I don't get a choice. I don't get a choice. You feel what I'm saying? And that's what this life is like for us. The battle between options and choices, and then the fact that they're made synonymous. Everybody really thinks they have choices in this life because they're given so many options to choose from. That's why I love and hate the English language so much. Cause this shit, the semantics in this bitch is so fucking crazy. Did you not choose the option? And then that to choose is a derivative of the word choice. I chose an option. I didn't make a choice. I didn't make the choice. You feel what I'm saying? I did not make the choice. You feel me? For example, I'm going to go back to the Pokemon game metaphor. When you start the game, let's say you get Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur, right? But when you first start fighting Pokemon, all of them are normal types. You feel what I'm saying? Like the first ones you run into like a Pidgey, a Rattata, and some shit like that. I'm like, yo, a good choice for me would be a ghost Pokemon because their normal attacks don't affect ghost Pokemon. Let me get that bitch to start first. I'm going in the trenches too. Let me get that bitch to start first. Let me get something that's not going to be affected. You feel what I'm saying? But you can't make that choice. Well, you can with glitches and codes, but that's the point that I'm making. Like, when with your options, you can't make a choice. You just choose it. You can't dictate that option. You can't change anything about that option. It's made for you. That's what we're systemized in. And the illusion is so real that we think we made all of the choices in our lives because we kept picking options that were presented to us. Now, this is not to say reevaluate your life and go back in and say, oh, I've been lied to, hoodwinked, bamboozled, none of that shit like that. Like, nah, because your options were presented to you based off of where you stand. You know what I'm saying? They're based off where you stand. So you take that into consideration and you really start to consider it and you look at it differently. Yo, it's like you see life on some, bruh, I get it. Now I have to choose what's for me. And we're in the age of Aquarius now. So a lot of people are now seeing that they have to make choices. You know, this is why when you work your job after 3 years, you get bored. You don't stay there. You can't. It's hard to find love in it. It's just like it's the same monotonous shit every day. You dig what I mean? And now I either needed a promotion or I need to. Like, you got to give me something, or I'm out. Give me a pay raise or something, like, or I'm out. You know, well, we don't get that shit. We don't have the choices. You know, I love now how I have choices for real now, and like to do whatever I want to do with mine. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like when we miss options or when we miss certain things, like that's the thing about, I mean, people are like, you know, opportunity. You missed the opportunity. You can't miss an opportunity. You only miss an opportunity based off of an option. When you create the choice, the opportunity is gonna stay there. Learn how to make your own choices. That when you make your own choices, you make your own opportunities. But when you're following options, you have to take the opportunities as they come. Oh shit, the opportunity's here. I gotta take it now. Nah, I create my own choices. My opportunities don't go anywhere. My opportunities do not go anywhere. Case in point. Minus this, if this COVID shit wasn't going on right now, I would probably be out already, you know what I'm saying, on multiple occasions, multiple speaking events and shit like that. But I made the choice with Sofer. I made the choice with being a speaker and all of these things like that. So it's like those opportunities don't go anywhere. Like when people ask me, "Oh, can you come speak here?" Right? Can you come vibe with me here and we speak here? Like I can that those opportunities don't go nowhere. They're always there. Why? Because I made the choice to put myself to have something to say. And what I have to say and what people listen to me for, that opportunity ain't going anywhere. You know? Now, things have been paused, like I said, because of COVID. But at the same time, when I'm considering the shit, like there's people like we still negotiate, like we still, when this shit clear up, we on. My opportunity didn't go anywhere. They're not forgetting about me. They're not sweeping me under the rug and saying, hey, look, if you don't take this now, it's never going to happen again. It's like, no, it's still going to happen. Why? Because I made the choice to create the option. And that option, I created the choice that led to the option that I wanted. And that option that I wanted gives me an opportunity that doesn't go anywhere. That's power. I mean that in the most modest way. I'm not being on no high horse type shit, but that's power. That's what it is to be powerful. Nobody can, like, motherfuckers are like, they come to me and I created something that allows them to come to me to pick me. To say, I like what you do. That's not going anywhere. That doesn't go anywhere. So like when that opportunity presents itself, when they say, hey, when people reach out to me and say, I want you to come speak here for me. That's not going anywhere. I can say yes or no. I don't have to say, I'm gonna miss it if I don't take it now. It's like, no, okay, cool. This is what you want. Here's what I need. You know, and this is one of the beautiful things about it, because now it brings it all full circle. It's like when I was asking the bitch motherfucker, I like, yo, give me 50,000 and I fuck with you. And he was like, I can't do that. You know, now I'm not saying I asked for $50,000 from anybody I'm speaking with, but this is the point that I'm making, is that when I told him, okay, look, you give me 50, you change this option a little bit. You give me $50,000. You allow me to go to the college that I want to go to, and then I'll, you know, like physically go, not just get the degree. You know what I mean? But he couldn't do that for me. Now when people say, hey, look, I want to do the speaking engagement, right? You know, it's like, cool. Here's what I require. Okay. All right. Send the deposit when it's, you know what I mean? When it's close to time, send half the deposit and then, you know, well, send the deposit and then pay me the rest when I get there, and it's on. You feel what I'm saying? I love that shit. You feel what I'm saying? When people, hey, I want to do this live with you, or I want you to do this webinar with me. I want to do this, like, okay. Now, like when people invite me on their platforms and shit to speak and do all this shit, I only ask one thing. Can I say whatever the fuck I want to say? Yeah. Talk your shit. That's, I love it. I love it. Like, they're like, yo, just talk your shit. And my shit, I talk. You feel what I'm saying? I can make the choice. You know what I mean? When you present the option is predicated by the choices that I created. Like that's the power in it. You know, when people come to me to speak with them, to chill, like the chatting with scene thing. Like when people come to me, like people, all right, this is what I need. They be all right. I'm not like, you know what I mean? I flipped it. I gave them the option. Where options were once always given to me, I now am able to give options because I create choices. But it took me to be able to create choices for myself. You feel what I'm saying? I got a homegirl who's like, she's into music, and she's like, yo, we should do a jam session one day, and we could, like, I'm up for that shit. And it's already under the premise that we get to be ourselves 100%. We don't have to change it. That's a choice. The choice was made because of the work that was already put in prior to that, to give the choice, to create the option, so that when the opportunity comes, it's here. You know, I use that as a second example. Like, all we have to do is find the right time to make the jam session work. The opportunity ain't going anywhere. You feel what I'm saying? But when somebody gives you your options, if you don't take the opportunity when they offer it, there's nothing you can do. You know, I know people now say, man, I should have went to school when I started. Like, the option is off the table. You know what I mean? That's because they understand that they didn't create the choice. You know, they didn't create the choice. So I ask you, how many things have you been indulged in? How many things have you really gone through in your life where you didn't create the option? I mean, you didn't create the choice, but you just took the option. And in taking the option, you were never able to change anything about that option. You just had to go with it. Like, how many opportunities did you really miss in life? Or did you just not align with the option that was presented to you at the moment? You feel what I'm saying? These are questions that we really got to consider. And then going forward, we have to look at life like this. If I am the creator in physical form, and here's what I mean by that. You are God. You are Allah. You are Krishna. You are Buddha. You are whatever. You are those things. You cannot admit that I'm created in its image and not be it. An image is a reflection of the thing. Come on, let's keep it a buck. But anyway, if I am the creator in a physical form, I should be able to create what I want to. I should be able to dictate my own choices. You feel what I'm saying? And am I dictating my choices? Or am I just accepting the options that people have given me? And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes Merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes Merch and get your merchandise right now. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Yeah, this was like, I like these impromptu joints. Like, I didn't even have nothing written down. This is just like, that's why it can probably seem all over the place. But yeah, that conversation really just sparked something with me, because it was like, yo, you got a lot of options and shit. And, you know, I'm like, I create my choices. Like, that's what you're missing. I create my choices. See, people think that that's the thing about it. A lot of times people be thinking that it's blessings from the creator or the most high or the universe, whatever. The only blessing is the blessing I create through the choices that I choose to infuse my life with. That's how you're blessed. That's how you become blessed. You feel what I'm saying? You have to put in a motherfucking work. Blessed, like, shit just don't fall down on me. You feel what I'm saying? Shit just don't fall down on me. It doesn't happen by coincidence or happenstance. I put in every ounce, everything that I've achieved, everything that I received is because I put in the work for it. I created the reality to receive that shit. That's why a lot of us don't get the shit that we're supposed to be getting, because we don't create the reality to have it. Yeah, it sounds good. It sounds good to say, what's for me is for me and I ain't gonna have to work for it. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. You have to create the world for the blessing to live in. That's what it is to make a choice. You have to create the world for the blessing to live in. You feel what I'm saying? A lot of us, we receive shit and then lose it right after that. Why did we lose it? Because we did not create the world for that shit to live in. So when we talk, oh, I'm so blessed, I'm so this. No, you're not. If you're not, if you're like, it sounds good when you receive shit on the regular, like hands, like on some accidental shit. Oh, I got this today because, oh, that's a blessing. I'm so blessed. Like, nah, you can't be blessed if you're not putting in any work to create any world that will allow any blessing to live. Motherfuckers want to be a millionaire, but don't want to do millionaire shit. You don't want to be a millionaire. You want to have $1 million. Keep it a buck. You don't want to be a billionaire. You want to have $1 billion because you have, in order to be a billionaire, I have to create a realm of life that allows $1 billion to stay in my space. I have to create a realm of life. I have to make choices. I have to make the choices to allow this $1 million to stay in my life. You ever like, this is how these football players go broke after making $40 million fucking dollars. How? They never created the realm to make this shit stay alive. So is it really a blessing? No, it's not a blessing. That's not a fucking blessing. A blessing maintains itself because of the work you put in to receive the blessing. You feel me? Now it goes back to the opportunities and shit like that. You put in the work to have this shit given to you. Like nothing was, it's not a blessing. Nothing is given to you by accident. You are rewarded for the work that you put in. That's what blessings are. Created by the choices that you make every single fucking day. Not the options that you accept, the choices that you make. Now, in that, you do have to eat that. Taking on too many options, what does that put into your life? Everything that comes with that option. You dig what I'm saying? The choices that I continually make and the choices that we continually make as people are the things that are going to dictate the blessings or the curses that we receive in life based off of the choices. It's not a divine creator hating you or anything like that, but you have the choice. Now, the way in which you enter the world, that's some other side shit that you have to deal with and how you had to come back into this world and shit like that. But that part about what you can do with that life is different. Like when I look at the life that I chose, even on my spiritual life, even from the spiritual side, I say I chose this life. You feel me? I chose this life. When I was young, I used to hate a lot of the shit. I'm like, yo, I didn't have a father. You know what I mean? Growing up without a dad, I had to figure this shit out by myself, and I was able to write books on masculinity because I had to figure this shit out on my own. You feel what I'm saying? When, not knowing true nutrition growing up and then learning it is different. It's like I made the choice. So it's like when I look at the difficulty of my life, when I look at where I grew up and the different circumstances, I made the choice not to remain in those. I made the choice, I had the options presented to me, or you either going to be a hood nigga, you either going to, what did Big say? You either going to push rock or you going to have a wicked jump shot. Nigga, those are my only options? Hell nah. Now, don't get me wrong. I used to be a rapper. I wanted to get signed because I literally thought those were my only options. But then I started expanding because even when I was rapping, I was still the best of what I did. And I'm like, I remember I had a decision to make when I was in freshman year. My freshman year, I could have been signed to, go record music and shit. But again, I did them motherfuckers the same way I did the Navy nigga. I'm like, bro, like, and I didn't even know about 360 deals, but I knew I wasn't going to get no 360. You're not about to 360 me, motherfucker. I said, look, I tell you what, here's the thing. I got to finish college and it's got to be paid for. If you can't do that for me, they was like, well, how about we do this? We do promotion and this. Like, no, I don't want to just promote. Like, these are my deals. This is it. I said, because then I started to realize when people start to come to you with options, you're the GOAT. You're the asset in that. When people present options to you, you are the asset. Always remember that. Always remember that. When you get all of these, like, go back to the people, when I talk about people that are, getting all of these full ride scholarships, over $1 million worth of scholarships to all of the schools that they applied for. You're the asset. That's why they're paying for you. Never forget that. Everywhere I go, everything that I put myself into, I put myself in a position through the choices that I made to be an asset to whatever it is I am. So when people present their options to me, when they ask me to do stuff, I am the asset in that equation. They know I'm the asset. So when they present options, they present options that will substantiate the asset that I am. You feel me? You need to be that same way too. When I used to work in corporate America, I told all of my employees, I said, look, you need to be able to be expendable. I mean, not expendable. You need to be able to be unreplaceable. They cannot replace you. That's how you get your raises. That's how you get paid. I had a whole bunch of people who was like, yo, bro, I need more hours. You know, should I ask the manager for more hours, more super? I'm like, yo, don't ask for more hours. Ask for more money. The fuck? And whenever they would ask, yo, can I get a raise? They would say, no, it's not in the budget. Or no, I can't work that because, you know, when I asked for a raise, I got them. They was like, how'd you get a raise? I said, did you not see me learning all of this shit? You feel me? I learned the shit that the managers were doing as just a regular employee before I even became a supervisor. I was just a regular employee learning all the shit the managers would do. And so I was like, hey, bro, look, teach me how to do this. So that way, look, take your time, come in late, do whatever you do. I knocked this out for you. Cool. When I started learning it, boom, 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 boom. He was like, yo, you really looking out, man. He said, yo, you doing it on point too. I said, I know. I need a raise. Damn, he couldn't deny me. He couldn't deny me. I became the asset. Now I dictate this option. Give me some more money. Every time I asked for a raise, I got one. And then when I capped out, they couldn't give me raises anymore. I got promotions. You feel what I'm saying? I got the promotions because I put in this skill. I created the choices for myself. So when I asked for it, I got it. I moved up so fast. I moved up within a year's time. And there was so much envy in that because they was like, I've been here 5 years. I should have been next. I should have been this. I said, what the fuck were you doing to become an asset? They needed me. I made them need me. And when I made them need me, they had to pay me for it. You feel me? I made the choices to not just be an option to them. When it was all said and done, we need someone, like, I set that up for myself. I created that dependability. Hey, look, I got a call out. You want to come in? Yep. Give me that bread. Give me that bread. Oh, man, you getting all the OT. Yeah, and I'm getting OT and I'm getting raises. That means my time and a half is also going up. Bitch, this is chess, my nigga. Like, we got to play this shit right. You feel what I'm saying? It's no more, like, that's why I'm so glad my father wasn't in my life. Because when I talk to him now, he's like, yo, the white man won't let me. I'm like, the white man won't let you. Oh, we two totally different motherfuckers, because there was never a point in my life where I said the white man ain't gonna let me do shit. I was in the white man's game telling him what the fuck he was gonna do for me. And he didn't even know that I was telling him what he was gonna do for me. I'm like, yo, you're gonna pay me. You're gonna pay me. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, you feel me? If I'm gonna be doing this shit, bro, I learn the skills, I learn the resources. And as I always tell people, it's not about what you walk away from, it's what you walk away with. I learned how to run businesses through climbing the ranks in corporate America like that. Like, I learned how to run that shit. I learned how to do revenue reports and all that shit. I said, I'm gonna let y'all pay me to do it. I'm gonna let y'all pay me for the education, you know? And in that business, as an account manager, I learned how to keep relationships intact. You know, I was connected with the hotel. Like, I was on a first name basis with the general managers of hotels, sitting in the office with them, talking to them about, like, learning the operation. They think I'm just, I'm a young, like, nah, I'm soaking this shit up, bro. Because what you don't know is I'm gonna be out of this motherfucker after a while. But I need all of the game I can get. I need all of the game that I can get because I have to make my choices. You feel what I'm saying? I'm sitting in there with them and I'm asking them questions like, yo, how you run this? So that way, if I decide, hey, maybe I do want to open up a hotel, a little small shit, I could do that shit. You feel me? Because now I have this experience from communicating with you. New faces, new places, bro. But you got to create the choices within yourself to give yourself these options. You have to create these choices in order to do this shit. I don't want this outro to be like, you know, arrogant rant about myself, about the things that I put in, but I want it to be understood that I created the choices to be in this position. But it's work. It's like, none of this shit is an accident. Like, none of this shit was easy. And that's the hardest part about making choices. It's easier to take on an option because there's no work in it. I don't have to think about it. I just have to say yes or no. But when you're creating your choices, you have to put that work in. You feel me? I have to always stay on point. My mind has to always be in a certain point to continue to make the options for myself. Well, to make the choices for myself that predicate my options in life. So now when it's to the point where when people see the shit that I do, it's like, yo, fucks with you. You know what I mean? I fucks with you. When it comes to the conversation of masculinity, I'm always included in it. It's crazy. Whenever I know people are like, yo, I got this webinar coming up and we're gonna be talking about masculinity. I want you in on it. The choices that I've made in life allow this to happen. I did take the option. And like I said, I never missed the opportunity because of that. I never missed the opportunities because of the choices that I made that created the options that I give out to people. You feel what I'm saying? And that's what this is all about. That's what this world is all about. Understanding the difference between options and choices. You know, just because you're choosing your option doesn't mean you made the choice. I know it's semantics and it seems crazy because when you look at the words choose and chose, choice, they are derived from the same thing, but they're contextually not the same thing, especially in regards to options. You choose an option, you make choices. An option is a choice that's already been made for you. You got to make your own choices to give yourself the options you want. And when you give yourself the options you want, opportunity never stops knocking. Opportunity never stops knocking. You dig what I'm saying? And when you get to that point where you're good at what you do, when you get to that point where the choices that you've made allow the blessings to come in. Like I tell people, like, these aren't like the blessings, like I deserve every blessing that I get. I'm grateful for every blessing that I get. And people always ask, do you say gratitude? Like there's times I don't always thank the Creator for what I get. I don't. I'm not gonna lie about it. Like, you know, every day I wake up and say thanks, and I stop doing that. Because I've already thanked you when I put in the work. I've already thanked you when I put in the work for you to give me the blessing. You feel what I'm saying? Like, think about this. I was always like, yo, I don't be thanking it because it's like, when I created the choices, I put in all of the work that whatever you give me, it's allowed to live here. I'm able to take care of the blessing that you've given me. Keep it alive. That's what it is. Like, that's how you give thanks. So yeah, I may not utter the words from my mouth every day. I may not say, yo, thank you for this. I mean, I don't have to, because I've already put in the work to let you know that I am grateful for what you're about to give me. Because when it gets here, it has a place to live, thrive, be fruitful, and multiply. You dig what I'm saying? And it's based off of choices. You know, you're not blessed. You're not blessed. And if you're wondering why, like, you're trying to manifest things, or you're doing all of your rituals and all of this shit, have you created the choices? Have you created the world for those things to come and live? Have you? Really ask yourself that. Otherwise, you're just waiting on options. You know, you're just waiting on options. You know, even from a relationship standpoint, you know, I've had women ask me all the time, what is your type? I don't have a type. Bad bitches is the only thing I like. Nah, I'm bullshitting. I don't know why I felt like doing that shit. But no, I really don't have a type, but I have choices. I have a choice in women. Totally different. Totally different. Because I've learned that, like, as long as I had a type, that's an option. And I can't deviate from it. I have a choice in women. I have choices in the women that I choose to involve myself with. Now, granted, I know I play and I joke a lot. I do love cougars. I love cougar women. It's not that I like cougars. It's the choice that I have to involve myself with mature older women. They just sometimes they happen to be older, but I am on the spiritual maturity. And it typically comes with women who are older. You feel me? So that's my choice. I choose older women. I don't have a type. That's why any woman that I'm involved myself with, like, it ranges. Like, I've had the bad bitches. I've had the modest ones. Had the wholesome girls. I've had all the plethora of all the women you could think of. And I was able to comfortably be with each and every one of them. Why? Because I made the choice. It wasn't about a type. Because when it comes to a type is another form of an option. And with them being a type, I have to stay a certain way. No, I created the choice to make you comfortably sit. Now, my choice now has to change when that particular type of person comes into my space and it's like, okay, we ain't really rocking. Okay, so this is not a choice I need to make again. This is why a lot of us still get caught up in that loop of relationships where we're dealing with the same type. And why can't I just get it right? Because your type is the same. You're choosing the same fucking option every time, but you're not making a new choice. Yeah, you can say you're tired of eating fast food, but when what's on the table is fast food, that's all you're gonna eat. Oh, I'm tired of eating Burger King, McDonald's, and Taco Bell. Only because I used those metaphors before. I'm tired of using Burger King, McDonald's, and Taco Bell. So what you gonna eat? Man, that's all that I got here. Oh, you don't think your relationships do that shit too? Oh, I'm tired of fuck boys. What are you choosing? I'm tired of hoes. What are you choosing? The option that you like. The option that you bring into your life. Start making the choice as to what you want. You feel what I'm saying? Start making the choice that is to what you want. You feel what I mean? This coincides, I don't know what episode I talked about it on. It was about setting the web up with women. You know, it's like, yo, I create the world that I want the woman I'm choosing to be in. Like, I know it sounded crazy when I said it the first time. It's like, yo, I'm not the cheetah, I'm the spider. I set the web up, she lands in my web and shit like that. Yeah, she's supposed to. Like, I'm not chasing you. Because at that point, I'm running after an option. This is what I have. This is what I have to go for. But now I make the choice. And then when I make the choice, I create the web. I create the world for that choice to live, for that blessing to come. So when the universe says, hey, here you go. Like, I manifest a lot of shit. But in order for me to keep those manifestations in, I have to create the choices I have to have the abundance of choices that create the world, that when this shit comes in, I'm not shocked. I'm ready. Like, everything that I've ever received, everything that I've ever gotten in this life, everything that ever happened, it was supposed to happen. Like, when I left corporate America, I know I announced it to social media back in 2018. And I said I was going to do it when I was 28 years old. You feel what I'm saying? I made the choices to make that happen. My employees, when I was telling them I would be leaving, they were like, damn, you must have a lot of money saved up. It's not about having money saved up. I created choices to keep this shit in motion. These are choices. And that's what it's about, bro. That's what it's about, sis. Choices, not options anymore. Ask yourself that going forward. Am I making a choice or am I choosing an option? Start making more choices. Please. Please start making more choices. And if you have children, if you're planning on it, learn how to teach them how to make choices. Don't make their choices for them. To be honest with you, all children are making their choices every day, but we stop them. They're making, like, that's how they're exploring life. They're making choices. You dig what I'm saying? When you see that little girl she has the little fucking, the fucking feathers around her neck with brown rain boots, the purple skirt, and we're thinking she's made a choice to feel good about herself. This is what I feel looks good to me. She made a choice, but we create the options. Now your kid, all they want to do is wear a certain, like, they don't have their own style. They have the style that is an option. And then they go to school, fit in the mold and everything. Like, they don't know how to stand out. They don't know how to be their own individual because of the options presented to them. They never made a choice. Therefore, their opportunities are going to be the ones that come. I don't have opportunities. I have blessings that have come down, manifestations that have, that's why I say the opportunities don't go anywhere, because these are manifestations. They ain't going nowhere. So when you see somebody, oh yeah, you just blessed, you just look at them. Look at the shit that they've done. Look at the choices that they made in their life. Not the options they picked. Look at the choices they made, and look at the world that they created for those choices, for those manifestations to live and thrive. Nobody just receives anything. Blessings don't just happen, but that's not here nor there. Like I said, I love this one. I think I'm going to do these shits a lot more often. Impromptu pop-ups. I love them now. Because it's like these thoughts be on my head and shit. And then it's like, if I don't get it right now, by the time I record it, it's going to be all structured and shit like that. Sometimes y'all just need to get the rough, rugged, and raw. And so that's what it's going to be. But thank you for listening to the Impromptu pop-ups. And, I'll see you when I get another one popping in. So be sure to follow me on Instagram, _just_scene_, and be sure to follow me at IamJustSeen.com to get all things that are just seen. Yeah, make the conscious choice today and start paying attention to, are you making choices or are you picking options? You know, and adjust your life according to, if you need to, or, you know, and get yourself on you know, do your thing, man. Live. As always, go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables and shit. And I'll see y'all on the next one, yo. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.